Hey, James, it's Rowan. How are you?
Hey, I like that background you got there. That's cool.
I'm hiding DJ though. Let me see what I got to do about that.
That's okay. Go ahead and hide DJ. That's fine.
No, that way I can be in the band. Yeah.
I like your shirt too. How are you, man?
I'm very well indeed. It's such a privilege to catch up with you again. Thank you very much for your time.
It's good to see you.
Look, it's been so long since we've spoken. Yeah, I've got to tell you, you're a sight for sore eyes, brother. 2016, we last caught up for this mighty album, of course, and this mighty album. But
Yeah.
so much has happened since then, right? I mean, what a world turned upside down.
The whole world has changed since then. Isn't it crazy? I mean, yeah, everything is different. Nothing is the same anymore. It feels like maybe we're starting to get back to normal. I'm just loving now when you go on YouTube, you can see people are posting videos from live concerts again. So that feels great. That gives me hope. But boy, it sure has been a tough few years, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Do you remember where you were at what moment, what you were doing when it became clear that life as we knew it was basically changed forever?
Well, it happened very quickly. I had this artist, Sixx, that I had just produced a record for him, and we were getting ready to release his album on this little record label that I had started. And we did a show with him up in Vegas. He opened up for Bush, and we were getting ready to put him out on tour. And then, like within 2 days after the show, everything stopped, and it was just like, well, at the time we were thinking, okay, maybe this will be a couple of months and then we'll be back to normal. And it just kept on going and going and going. So yeah, it really was incredibly disruptive and really heartbreaking on so many levels.
It's just so weird. You mentioned Vegas there. I chat almost every day to my dear friend Sylvia at Comp FM out there in Vegas, and Dennis Huff, of course, and Hooch and a couple of the Gooch and a couple of others. But it seems so surreal out there, where you've gone from basically getting back into normal, then it's wound back again, and everyone's in panic, and it seems to ebb and flow. It's unbelievable. How has all of this affected you professionally? Writing, recording, performing. How's it been?
Well, that's a good question. And I'm in a bit of a unique situation because right as COVID was becoming an issue, I was beginning to kind of transition away from music. I was getting ready to retire, basically, and start focusing on my personal life and my family and things like that. And COVID really forced that hand a lot. It was kind of shocking to see how serendipitous that was. So personally, I was prepared for some downtime. I was looking forward to getting out of the recording studio for a while and testing out retirement and see how that went. And then COVID hit, and it was like, not only was I stopping, but everyone around me was stopping, and they were forced to stop. And so for me, it was okay because I wasn't really planning on doing much over that year anyway. But for my colleagues and my friends and the road crews and all of these amazing people that were relying on touring happening, it was just heartbreaking and really difficult to watch. So I was a bit lucky with regards to, it didn't really disrupt much of my life since I'm really private and stay home. I'm pretty much a hermit anyway. And I wasn't planning on doing much, but a lot of my friends, it just turned them upside down.
Absolutely. I have to ask you, it's a bit of a stretch, but did you find yourself reflecting on those earlier days when you were really struggling and overcoming barriers to get to the man you are today? Was it sort of reflective of that time that barriers was put in front of you at every moment?
100%. Did you find that too?
Yeah.
The one thing, if I were to look back on the COVID year, the one thing that I would say that's kind of a positive thing is it gave me a lot of time to reflect. And I really took advantage of that time to go all the way back through my entire career and just kind of dust off those memories and try to live through them while not being so in the whirlwind. Because you know what it's like when you're in this crazy music business, it's hard to stop and appreciate what's happening at the time, because you're always going for the next thing. You're always getting into the studio or getting ready to go out on tour or getting ready to release that next single or that next album. And it's so hard to stop. And as much of a cliche as it is, it's so hard to stop and smell the roses. So it forced everyone, I think, to spend a little time reflecting. You know, I heard a quote very early on in the pandemic, and I really liked it, and it resonated with me. It was, COVID is Mother Nature's way of forcing us to go to our rooms and think about what we've done. I kind of laughed at first when I heard it, but then I thought, you know what? That's really true. I think all of us have taken the opportunity to do a lot of reflection, not only on our lives and our behavior, but just, you know, on how lucky we are, how lucky we've had it up until now. And you know, having something like COVID hit, it really reminds you that life is so fragile.
Oh, beautifully put. I don't know how many times in the last 18 months that I've actually put on Rise and sung it, go, yeah, we can do this and get through it. But because we had such high hopes of you and Nikki and DJ, Dustin, Melissa and Amber coming and touring down under. And of course, it was all just sort of torn up. But thankfully, we've had your music and this release in the meantime. We've had all your music to be able to enjoy. But now here we are, just weeks away from the release of Hits, the collection of stadium pounding anthems of 6 a.m. magnificent to accompany the first 21 book from Nikki. James, please tell me how the idea around this collection began in the first place. What was the plan?
Well, you know, for the last few years, especially while we were on tour promoting Prayers for the Damned and Prayers for the Blessed, we were kind of starting to get the feeling that it would be nice to do a collection. You know, I think at the time we weren't necessarily referring to it as a greatest hits so much as just a best of, you know, something where we could look back over our entire career, each of us kind of pick a few of our favorites, but then really lean on the fans and look at what they've been responding to and what's been resonating with them. So Hits is really a collection of not only the songs that were more popular, you know, the radio hits and things like that, but songs that really connected with our audience. That's why songs like Skin is on there, and other songs that were either maybe a live hit, you know, that really went over well live in concert, or just that have been streamed a lot. So it's a collection of not only the songs that were singles, but songs that when you listen to them as a body of work, it will give the listener a real good idea of who 6 a.m. started out as and who we evolved into as a band and as people.
Absolutely. And look, there is so much that I want to ask you about this collection, but I can't help but focus on Nikki just for the moment, for the purposes of this exercise at least. I mean, with everything that's going on, it strikes me, or it had me reminiscing, that right back to 2007, it seemed to me at least that 6 a.m. was a bridge for Nikki. It was basically flanked by you and DJ as his companions, a stable ground, if you will, between his Mötley Crüe life and then his commitment to a clean existence. Does that strike you as being a fairly accurate sort of an observation?
100%. I think there's a couple of things that I would make note of with regards to that. Number one, I think that, you know, audiences probably think they have a pretty good idea of who Nikki Sixx is because of his reputation through Mötley Crüe. Then when he released the Heroin Diaries, I think people were shocked, but they also started to get a little bit deeper of a look into who this man is. And then 6 a.m. came along and gave him an opportunity to show this whole other side of who he is, you know, much deeper into the lyric writing and the messaging and dealing with you know, drug addiction and recovery from a very serious standpoint. And so I think it became a real outlet for him, which was great. But also I think it was a deeper dive into who he is for the fans. And it's kind of maintained that all along, you know, from the Heroin Diaries soundtrack to This Is Gonna Hurt, all the way into Modern Vintage and then the Blessed and Damned albums. And now, of course, with his new book, The First 21, it's given him an opportunity, I think, to kind of come full circle and kind of put bookends on this, but also it gave 6am an opportunity to reflect as well, and to really kind of do a deep dive into who we've become as not only as musicians, but as friends and as people in general. So yeah, I think that it's been a really interesting journey, especially to watch Nikki evolve through all of this. And I think we're still kind of discovering what 6am means to all three of us.
Absolutely, and what it means to society globally as well. I mean, as you're speaking, I can't help but what slaps me in the face like the Bill of Rights is the fact that you co-wrote with Nikki "Treat Me Like a Dog" that was released on the Crüe album New Tattoo back at the turn of the century. Did I say that out loud? Bloody hell.
So long ago.
It's so long ago, but I mean, it was right then. It was 21 years ago. It was right at the start of his sobriety. How different is the man now as opposed to what you knew back then? Particularly when you think about all of the people that he's helped through opioid addiction over these years.
Yeah, that's a great question. From when I first met him, and I first met him right around those New Tattoo, months and years. And we immediately clicked as far as a songwriting duo, but we also became friends very quickly. And what was so interesting for me, knowing him on the personal side of things, but also knowing the reputation that he had, I really kind of got to know him through the book, through the Heroin Diaries, as well as the fans did. But then I also had this extra added benefit of spending every day with him and getting to know him on a very personal basis. And at first I was really kind of shocked because the person that I was getting to know as a friend was so different than this person represented in the Heroin Diaries. It's like you two guys don't even seem like the same person. Mm-hmm. And I think that what that says to me is just how deep and rich of a human being he is. He's been extremely devoted to being a good parent, a good father, a good husband. I've watched him struggle through a lot of those personal life struggles. And the one thing I can say is he's incredibly committed to sobriety. He's incredibly committed to becoming a better person every day. And I think that in and of itself rubs off on anyone that he spends time with. So he's a really special guy. And I'm honored that I've been able to not only watch his career as an observer, but be a part of it and call him a friend.
Oh, beautifully put. And of course, with the new album hits, the lead up has been so poignant because when we think about the video to Skin, for example, from this magnificent collection, and the new accompanying video really stands out for me because the lyrics of hope and that parting shot right at the end of the clip, so many windows in so many cities around the world with people behind them struggling to break free. I mean, the link and the immediate association that Nikki, through your music, is able to link up with people. This must be such a tough question as such an accomplished writer, but I'm going to ask you to try it on for size anyway. What's most commonly in your mind when you're creating these tracks with Nikki and DJ that turn into these astonishing anthems of hope?
Well, I think that the three of us share a very similar passion for expression beyond what most bands and writers do. I think we all have this desire, and this may be because 6am was a side project for all of us, and so there was no pressure on us to conform to any one particular type of sound or any one particular type of message. So we were really free to just explore our inner thoughts and our deepest thoughts. And what we were so excited about is that the more we explored them, the more we realized how similar we all thought about things. And so it was actually very natural and very easy to dig in and just start writing these really heavy, deep messages and songs. It came very naturally and just continued to evolve over the years. But even in our very first writing sessions together, we just clicked, and that's what you're always looking for. You know, that's as a band member or as an artist, you're always looking to click with at least a few people in your career. And I was just lucky enough to click with two of my closest friends.
And yet in society, you click with so many, because that click in it, the clip in itself, I think provides those who don't know the struggle of opioid addiction with an appreciation and an empathy towards those who struggle in that unique hell. Do you think that that's true to a degree of Snow Babies as well? That really it is helping people to see what's behind what people see as a filthy, horrible picture they don't want to look at?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I've always been fascinated by, I mean, our first album was called the Heroin Diaries Soundtrack. Not, you know, I would wager a bet that that 99% of our fan base has never done heroin, and hopefully never done, you know, other hard drugs. So I was always a bit surprised, fascinated, and pleased by the fact that people still related to it. And I think that what that is that we never focused solely on the addiction or on the problem. We focused on the recovery. We focused on the heroism of it instead of the heroinism of it. And I think that really, I think that really helped 6 a.m. find its way into people's hearts, because we really did run the risk of people going, I can't relate to this. I've never done heroin and I don't intend to, you know? So what the people that gave us a chance realized there was so much more to it than just that initial sting or that initial shock of the drug addiction. It was really about, you know, human beings' ability to be resilient and to survive things. You know, the only thing that we don't survive is death. We survive everything else in life, as difficult as it is. And I think that people just related to that.
Absolutely. And look, I realize that you're running out of time. You're very pressed for time today, and there's so much I want to talk to you about this album. But what strikes me as being of paramount importance as I listen to this beautiful collection is Life is Beautiful. But you open with that track, and then the finale. Oh my God, how magnificent. Michael, I have no words. No words at all. It's really unbelievable to open the collection with the deserving and apt rock angst that accompanies the track. But then the finale with your phenomenal vocal delivery, it just hits one right in the feels, you know, it's for want of a better term. What compelled you to finish the album with that beautiful rendition?
Well, I think that, you know, obviously Life is Beautiful is where it all started for us. And as a result of that, of course, it has such a special place in all of our hearts. And even though the original version was always, that, like you said, you know, heavy rock guitar, a great guitar riff, really pounding drums, just everything about it was very, you used the expression earlier, kind of stadium feeling. But there was so much more to the heart of that song. And so to strip it all away and kind of approach it from a more intimate angle seemed appropriate. It seemed like a nice celebration of the song, and in a way of you know, just putting it in a light that could maybe give it another few years of life, or hopefully much more than that.
Absolutely. And look, I do apologize. We've been talking about so much and I've taken you over time, but we've been missing you so much. We've been missing DJ. We've been missing Nikki. And the fact that you've brought this album about now, to me, seems just in the nick of time for so many people, musically, inspirationally with COVID, but also medically, helping so many people. And look, from me to you at least, thank you so much for this brilliant collection. thank you for the opportunity to speak to you yet again, and we can't wait to see the release and the effect that this album is going to have globally. Thank you so much for your time, James.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me. This is something that, you know, we've all become so proud of not only this hits album, but our entire body of work, and so proud of the relationship that we've built with our fans, and so grateful to people like you that do the deep dive and do the research and come up with great questions so that we get a chance to talk about it. So thank you very much.
Pleasure indeed. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to catching up the minutes COVID is over. We're not waiting for you in Australia. Me, the whole family, we're coming straight to LA to see you.
Awesome. Stay healthy, my friend.
You too. Cheers,
Take
mate.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.